In some cities, the future feels exciting. In others, it feels like you're being watched. Here in China, cameras don't hide in the background. They hang above streets, guard apartment blocks, follow crowds through intersections, watch over stations, shops, sidewalks, entrances, and public spaces so constantly that after a while they stop feeling like objects and start feeling like part of the environment itself. This is not just a place with a few security cameras on the wall. In parts of modern China, surveillance is built into the rhythm of everyday life. It's above your head when you walk outside, beside you when you cross the street, waiting at the entrance when you enter a station, and quietly present in the background of even the most ordinary moments. And that's what makes it so strange, because for the people living here, this isn't treated like something unusual or extreme. It's normal. A normal part of going to work, moving through the city, buying food, riding public transport, or simply existing in public. But once you start looking closer, you begin to notice something else too. The same cities filled with cameras are also filled with scanning systems, digital checkpoints, security robots, and app-based systems that make the entire environment feel even more controlled, automated, and futuristic. With the help of our local guide filming directly inside the city, we're stepping into a place where surveillance is no longer hidden. It's fully visible, fully accepted, and woven into daily life. To see what it actually feels like to live in a city where being watched is simply part of the routine. One of the first things that really stands out here is just how many cameras there are, even in places where you normally wouldn't expect to see that many at all. At first, it just catches your attention, but then you keep walking, and you keep seeing more of them. And after a while, it starts to feel a bit strange, because the more you look around, the more it feels like this isn't just a city that happens to have cameras. It feels like being watched is just part of how the place is built. Even something as simple as standing at a crossing for a minute, you start noticing how many angles you're being seen from at once. And it doesn't stop there. At one point, we stepped into a small convenience store just to grab a drink. Nothing special, just a normal place. But even there, it was the same thing again. Later on, as we headed toward a station, you could already see them before even getting. Inside, around the entrance, above the gates, spread across the whole area, it starts to follow you. Not in an aggressive way, but in a way that's always there. And what really stands out isn't just how many cameras there are, it's how nobody reacts to. No one looks up, no one seems bothered. People just keep moving like it's the most normal thing in the world, and that's probably the biggest difference. In a lot of places, a camera still feels like something separate from the environment. But here, after a while, they stop feeling like cameras. They just feel like part of the street. And once that happens, you start to realize something else. It's not just that cameras exist here. It's how constant they are. You move from one place to another, and they're always there, somewhere in the background, watching, recording, observing, without ever really interrupting anything. And that's what makes the whole thing feel different, because you're not just seeing cameras, you're moving through a place where being watched is simply part of everyday life. After a while, it's not just about how many cameras there are, it's about what they're actually capable of. They move, their posture, their walking pattern, things most people don't even think about. So it's not just about being seen, it's about being identified. And once you understand that, the whole thing starts to feel different. Because now it's not just a camera watching a street, it's a system that can follow who you are as you move through it. In some cases, these systems are also connected to how behavior is monitored. Things like crossing the street in the wrong place or breaking small public rules can be picked up automatically. There have even been cases where people are shown on public screens for things like jaywalking, almost like the system is not just watching, but also responding. And then there's the idea of scoring. In certain situations, data collected through these systems can be linked to how behavior is evaluated. Things like where you go, what you do in public, or how you interact with systems can all become part of a larger picture. And depending on that, it can affect things like access, convenience, or certain services. And once you start paying attention to that, the city feels even more controlled. A lot of normal, everyday things now involve some kind of scan, screen, code, gate, or digital. You want to get into certain buildings, there's usually some kind of access set up there too. Even smaller things like ordering, paying, or entering public spaces often go through your phone first. And on one hand, it's convenient, it's fast, it's smooth. A lot of it works really well, but at the same time, it also creates this feeling that almost everything you do has to pass through some kind of digital layer first, and that changes the whole atmosphere of a place. Because when movement, access, and daily routines all start running through systems, it doesn't just feel modern anymore. It starts to feel managed. At one point, even something simple like walking into a station can feel different when you realize you're not just entering a public place. You're passing through a controlled point. The gates, the scans, the flow of people, the cameras above it all works together. And once you notice that pattern, you start seeing it in more places. Here, a lot of it feels structured, like the city wants to know where people are going, how they're moving, and how everything flows from one point to the next. And again, what makes it even stranger is how normal it all feels to everyone around you. People don't stop to think about it. They just scan, pass through, and keep moving. Because for them, this isn't some futuristic concept. It's just how the city works. After a while, you start noticing that it's not just the city around you that's built on systems, it's also the way people interact with it. Because here, a lot of daily life doesn't really happen without your phone. Paying for things, ordering food, entering places, sending money, calling a ride, almost. Everything runs through apps. And it's not just one or two things, it's nearly everything. If something happens in public, there's a good chance it was captured from multiple angles. If someone causes trouble, it's harder to disappear into the crowd. And because of that, a lot of people here don't see the cameras as something shocking. They see them as useful, even reassuring. That's what makes this whole thing more complicated than it looks at first. Because the same system that can feel invasive to one person can feel protective to someone else. And that's probably why it works so well here. Because after a while, it's not just the cameras or the scanning systems that stand out, it's the fact that parts of the city genuinely start to feel like they're operating a few years ahead of what most people are used to. You'll see security robots moving through public spaces, self-service machines doing jobs that would normally be handled by staff, automated systems quietly replacing little human interactions you still expect to have in most places. And the weird thing is, none of it feels like a big show.
Can we talk to him? Will he talk back? Is it like 小爱同学?
你好，悠悠。
您好，有什么可以帮助您
跳个杰克逊的舞蹈。
？OK， 来点 music。
Are you gonna dance with him? With her? Come on, come on. That's the best part, right?
That's what makes it interesting. It's not presented like, look at this crazy futuristic technology. It's just there, built into daily life. A robot rolling through a public area. A machine handling something that would normally involve a worker. A digital system replacing a human step that in most countries still feels normal. And after a while, you start realizing this city doesn't just feel watched. It feels optimized. Like everything is being designed to move faster, smoother, and with less friction. And on the surface, a lot of that actually looks impressive. It's efficient, it's clean, It works. But at the same time, it also creates this strange feeling that human presence is slowly being pushed further into the background. That's when the city starts feeling less like a normal modern place, and more like a glimpse of where the rest of the world might eventually end up. Because here, the future doesn't really feel theoretical. It feels active. It's already moving around you. And this is where things started to get a little weird in a different way. Because at first, a lot of this stuff just looks cool. You see the robots, the machines, the self-service systems, and your first thought is kind of just, okay, wow, this is pretty futuristic. But the more we kept walking around, the more another thought started creeping in. Who used to do all of this before? Like seriously. At one point, we saw this little machine handling something that in most countries would normally just be done by a worker without you even thinking about it. Then later on, there's a robot moving through a public area doing what looked like security or patrol work. And after a while, you stop seeing it as just cool technology, and you start seeing what it actually means. Because every time one of these machines quietly takes over a small job, that's one less human is needed for. And it's usually not the flashy jobs that go first. It's the regular ones, the background jobs, cleaning, patrolling, basic service work, small everyday roles that normally keep a city running. And that's the part people don't always think about when they talk about the future. Because yeah, on the surface, this all looks efficient. And honestly, a lot of it is. It's smooth, it's fast, it works. But there's also this low-key, uncomfortable feeling underneath it. Like, if a city keeps pushing more and more toward automation, where exactly do people still fit into that later on? That's when it stopped feeling like some futuristic flex and started feeling more serious. Because this isn't some concept people are debating for 20 years from now. It's already happening, not all at once. Not in one dramatic moment, but slowly. One machine here, one system there, one less human interaction. One more task being handled automatically. And when you really look at it that way, this city doesn't just feel advanced. It feels like a preview. Like you're walking through a version of the future that other places still haven't fully caught up to yet. And honestly, that's exciting. But it's also a little unsettling, because the more efficient everything becomes, the easier it is to forget what's quietly being replaced in the process. And honestly, after seeing all of this, one of the biggest questions we had was pretty simple. What do the people actually living here think about it? Because from the outside, it's easy to look at all these cameras, systems, robots, and checkpoints, and think, there's no way people are fully okay with this. But when you're actually here, the vibe is way different than you might expect. Most people aren't walking around acting uncomfortable. They're not constantly talking about the cameras. They're not looking over their shoulder. If anything, the craziest part is how normal it all feels to them. And when something becomes that normal, people stop reacting to it. That's probably one of the biggest things this whole place keeps showing you over and over. The stuff that feels intense from the outside often just feels ordinary on the inside. And that doesn't mean people are all thinking the same way, obviously. Some probably like it. Some probably don't care. Some might just be used to it. But either way, one thing becomes pretty clear. This isn't a city where people are constantly fighting the system around them. They've adapted to it. And once that clicks, the whole place starts making more sense. Because this city doesn't just run on surveillance and technology, it runs on people who have already learned how to live inside it. And honestly, after seeing all of this, I'm not gonna lie, it really does make you think. Feeling a little too controlled. And honestly, that's probably the biggest thing I took away from all of this. Not that China looks futuristic, but that in some places the future is already here. And it doesn't always show up the way people expect. Sometimes it looks convenient, sometimes it looks impressive, and sometimes it looks a little unsettling too. So yeah, after seeing all of this, I think the real question is pretty simple. If this is where the future is heading, would you actually want to live in it?